Hello, friends, and welcome to Cinemondo Podcast. With all of these people, we have an extra person today. Who is that?
Our old friend John West from the UK is in to hang out with us for a while. And John was on a few years ago with his business partner and friend Jason Figgis, and they had a film called Winifred Meeks that we talked about. Yeah, a great film. And we're here to talk with John about all the other films with Jason that he's involved with, plus the books that he's written. I mean, we are talking about a Renaissance man here. He's done all kinds of things, music, all kinds of stuff. John, great to have you again.
Oh, it's good to be back, as they say, and thanks for calling me a Renaissance man. That's, I enjoy the flattery, I must say. Thank you.
I think once
Please carry on
books you get that title after you write 600 books. How many books have you written?
Oh, well, I've written 3 on Ghost. I've got 2 more due out. I did a book on the Battle of Gainsborough, which is an English Civil War battle. I've got a book coming out on Roman Lincoln. And I did a book in the 90s on Victorian murders. And so I've got a few. And I write for Psychic News magazine every month, which is available in the USA. And please buy it now. And I write ghost stories for them.
I love it. See, I have this book that you wrote.
That's the first one.
Yes, that was so fun. And reading these, I love it because just even the photos of the houses themselves are so good. Like, I love just how that stuff looks, let alone the fact that they're haunted. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, you have a new book coming out about hauntings, and I want to, how do you investigate and research and find these stories?
Well, I've been interested in ghosts since I was a kid. You can blame your mum for that, because she had all these paperback books that I used to read when she wasn't around. But she said, "My God, you'll get scared if you read them." And I did, actually. And I've been hooked ever since. So I built up a massive library of ghost books. I've probably got about 500 or 600 books on ghosts. My library is about 4,500 books altogether. So I've got plenty of source material. And Britain is such a haunted place. Literally, wherever you go, you'll find ghost stories. So I just never run out of stories to tell. And when people find out I'm into ghosts, they tell me ghost stories as well. So that's how I get my research. Online stuff as well, because lots of archives now are available online. Word of mouth, old books, and just a real enthusiastic input from me, shall we say. But my new ghost book came out on Halloween, actually, last year. So it's been out a few.
So do you actually visit the locations ever? Like, do you go to the houses and walk around?
Oh yeah. I could. I hope I do. Anyway, most of the time. But I mean, some of them in Scotland I don't, because it's a bit far to go, and I can't be bothered to drive all that way. But yeah, I visit most of them. But I mean, with the beauty of the internet now, you can research online. So so most of the places in the latest one I actually visited. I didn't go to Glamis Castle in Scotland, which is very haunted by a monster. Apparently, is one of the ghosts, and a tongueless woman. So it's a pretty spooky place. And the Queen, the Queen Mother, the late Queen Mother, was born there. Queen Elizabeth.
That's crazy. That's wild. So have you actually seen any of these ghosts that you've researched? And what was the coolest experience, if you have?
Well, I've been to tons of haunted places. And, sadly, a lot of the places I've been to, I've experienced nothing, because ghosts don't appear on demand. I mean, I've been to the Tower of London, which is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world. And, you got Anne Boleyn, Walter Raleigh, Guy Fawkes all haunting it, Henry VIII bobbing around. And I experienced nothing there, which is a shame. But I have been to other places where I've had odd feelings. I went to Hampton Court in the autumn of last year, very famous royal palace in England. Henry VIII took it off for Wolsey. And Oliver Cromwell actually lived there when he was Lord Protector. It was his weekend residence. And I felt a presence in the kitchen area, funny enough, like as if I was being watched by someone, but I never saw anything. But I mean, I lived in a haunted flat in Saxmundham, and I did see a ghost out the corner of my eye there, a Victorian lady with black sleeve and lacy cuff. And I was haunted by a ghost dog in Lincolnshire. She used to run up and down the stairs.
Dog. Oh my God. I didn't know dogs could be ghosts.
I never found out why it turned up or anything like that. The house was built in the 1950s, and I don't know what was on the site before, probably a Victorian house, but yeah, it just used to run up the stairs. But the weird thing was, it followed me when I went to Suffolk for a bit and then just faded away. So I honestly don't know why that happened, or why it latched onto me. But yeah, sadly, most of the haunted places I've been to, I've never really experienced anything there apart from the odd feeling sometimes in certain rooms. But they don't appear to be on demand, basically. And so
they don't perform.
You could go to the most haunted place in the world and nothing will happen. And then the next day, loads of ghosts will turn up. Story of my life, though.
Yeah, exactly. You'll stop at a gas station there, so you'll see the ghost there.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, but if you were going to advise someone who wanted to go to the UK and like go and look at, you know, ghosts or haunted, like a haunted tour, what would you suggest they start with? What would be the first place you tell them to stop?
I would tell them to go to York. Because it's a beautiful city, and two, it's claimed to be the most haunted city in the UK. Although London would disagree with that, and Derby as well, and Edinburgh probably would. But go to York. Virtually every quarter of that city has a ghost. There's Roman soldier ghosts. There's medieval monks, grey ladies. Dick Turpin turns up apparently as a ghost, a famous highwayman. So yeah, I would go there. But if you want to go to London, then go to the Tower of London, which is very atmospheric and is supposed to be the most haunted castle in the world.
And if anything, you get to go to a cool castle and you get to see stuff, and that is fun.
Oh, exactly. And you get to see the crown jewels as well, and see the beekeepers and the ravens. So yeah, it's well worth the trip.
Been there. I've really loved that place. Love the ancient. I mean, you know, we live in a country that doesn't really have much ancient of that style. You know, we have the history here of the Native Americans, but not a whole lot of ghost history in that regard. And here, the oldest ghost can only be 200 years old. You know, as far as like a Western style ghost haunting type thing. But when you go to Europe, everywhere I go in Europe, I feel that presence of history. I feel like it's a presence of history. Of you go into a house and it's like, not only did somebody, you know, one family live in this house before you, but hundreds of families have lived in this house before you, you know.
Well, we should say the name of the book is Britain's Haunted Land, which it came out on Halloween.
There it is.
There it is.
That's a great
man
cover
on the front.
Love it. Yeah, that's a
Jason Pickett designed the cover, and he did the intro, and he provided a chapter as well on a haunted castle in Cornwall. I thought I'd better say that, as he'll kill me. But anyway.
Of course he did.
You know what?
Amazon, folks. Please buy it immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. Jason also does it all.
He does. He did a good cover. Yeah.
He did a great cover.
He's a talented guy. John, what I love about your books are, you know, you're obviously talking about the ghosts, but there's also you're getting the history lesson.
I love the history
of that spot.
Yeah.
So I'm learning all kinds of things about, you know, different castles, different places all around the UK, not just whether there's ghosts there or not, or what people see or what people feel, but just what happened there. You know, why are there ghosts? Who died there? What was going on? Yeah. So I think you're getting a history lesson as well as getting a ghost story or the feeling of, you know, something else going on there. And I think that's really just, you know, a double win for the reader.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that. Well, I like to sort of, you know, give backgrounds to the hauntings and the history and that. And as you said, I mean, Britain is such an interesting place historically. I mean, I live in Framlingham now, which is a town in Suffolk, and literally just at the end of my road is a castle, and Queen Mary was proclaimed queen there. And they called her Bloody Mary over here because she killed loads of Protestants and that, because she tried to bring England back into the Catholic faith. But she was literally went down this road and went to the castle, and they proclaimed her queen. Because Lady Jane Grey, the Queen of 9 Days, they deposed her and Mary took over. And because Mary was succeeded by Queen Elizabeth I, and in the church over the road, Henry VIII's illegitimate son is buried there. And that's just literally a few hundred yards of where I live. So that just shows you what Britain's like. And we got a Roman road up the road, excuse the pun. And but I mean, just I'll drive along it and you think, you know, that was built by Roman soldiers, you know, almost 2,000 years ago, and it's still being used today. And it's just you realise just how lucky you are to live in such a history-ridden country.
Yeah, that is really cool.
No, if you come to Los Angeles, we can show you the exact spot where Lindsay Lohan got arrested with a DUI. And
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
there are houses that are 50 years old here. It's insane.
John, there's a little bridge right by my house, and it says California Historic Bridge, 1937.
Yeah,
you've got to love it.
That's older enough.
It's still there. It's amazing. It's still standing.
Well, this house that I'm in right now was built in 1925, and that's considered very old house. You know, it's a very
they have to survive earthquakes also, so things have been rebuilt a few times, so that helps too.
Well, I think, John, you know, for you, just you know history, so you can probably just go on and on about different cities and towns in the UK, and I think that's where your interest, and then you factor in the ghost thing. So just talking to you, not everybody knows the history of their country, so I think imparting that in your books really adds something to it. So quite enjoyable reads, and I highly recommend all of them. I mean, Britain's Haunted Land is out now. Britain's Ghostly Heritage, Britain's Haunted Heritage. Just check it out on Amazon. I'm sure, right? It's everywhere. So all your books.
Thank you.
So I'm
impressed. You mentioned a book you're doing about murders. You said Murders of England, or what was it?
Oh, that was years ago. That was in the 1990s. It's called Victorian Studies in Scarlet. Don't tell anyone, but I nicked the title of Conan Doyle. No one ever knows the title.
It's public domain.
We won't tell anyone.
Don't tell them, folks. Don't tell them. But no, that was a few years ago. But that was Victorian murders and that from the UK mainly, and the odd ghost story was thrown in, but that was when then I took a break from writing for years, and then I went back to it. So I should have carried on writing, but I got married and ended up doing other things. But then when I got unmarried, shall we say, I thought I got more time then.
There's suddenly single and able to write.
I am. I'm still single, actually, which is pretty sad when you're my age. But there you go. I wasn't expecting that.
Ladies, John West is available.
I am very available, actually.
There you go. You got to find a cute ghost hunter out there somewhere. Has to be.
I'm sure I will. People keep saying to me that you're bound to meet someone in the film world. I haven't yet, but I did get kicked in the head by a Bond girl. So
let's start. Yeah,
let's
talk
about that.
Let's talk about that. Well, let's move from your authorships to your film work, and this is a film called Boudica, Queen of War, that you play a Roman warrior, a Roman soldier.
Roman soldier. I'm actually the one at the end that orders the Roman soldiers to kill her. So I'm very sorry about that, Boudica, but I didn't mean that. But yeah, so they cut out a great scene. Actually, they did an alternative one where I was the one that was going to spear her to death. I didn't use that, so I'm up on the hill and ordering the others to kill her. But yeah, so Olga Kuyenko, is it how you pronounce it? From Quantum of Solace. She played Boudica, and it was filmed in Suffolk, and I had a whale of a time on set. Lovely lady, but there was another scene, because they reused me a few times, because I was supposed to be playing a Roman soldier dead on the floor, and they thought, wow, well, no one's going to know it's him. No. And she kicked me in the head. So not painful. And they kept running. They kept running with the
Is that scripted or ad-libbed?
Oh, no, it wasn't scripted. Perhaps she just didn't like the look of me. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she was doing a scene with a guy from the Vikings. Not the one who played Ragnar, one of the other Viking kings. I can't remember his name. She kicked me in the head, and I was in agony. And I thought, well, they're still running, so I can't move because I'll ruin the tape. They'll have a go at me. So they carried on for ages, and they stopped. And she said, "I'm so sorry, John." I said, "Oh, that's all right." I should have asked her for a kiss as compensation, but I didn't think of that.
Oh my God, you had your moment.
Lovely lady. Jesse V. Johnson directed it, and I interviewed him for a mag. So it was really enjoyable. And but at 3 o'clock in the morning in the wood dressed as a Roman soldier is probably not so enjoyable because with a metal armor and everything, you ain't got any trousers. I ended up with I got COVID afterward. That I tell you.
I was about to ask about the accuracy of the.
That is funny.
I was about to ask about the accuracy of the wardrobe and all that. Some of the armor that you see in the wardrobe shots here in Hollywood, you look at it and it's like, wow, this looks like gold-plated bronze or something, and you pick it up and it's actually vacuum-formed plastic and very, very lightweight. But you were wearing real metal armor, right?
See, I like that. I like it because I think you would move differently because it's heavier. You have to move, like it's stiffer. You have to move around. And there's something about like that's how people had to dress then. It's like it was really hard, I'm sure.
But you were able to wear like you were able to be somewhat comfortable in that, right? You got to wear like an undergarment and stuff like that, like a modern.
He's like,
no,
yeah, no, actually, I didn't. They just stuck it on me, and I had to suffer. But it was worth it. I mean, I met a Bond girl. I mean, what more could I want? She kicked
seriously. I mean, totally worth it.
I always think about Werner Herzog when he made Aguirre, Wrath of God, and he wouldn't let, when the actors were dressed as conquistadors, and he would not let them wear modern underwear. Even the underwear that you never see in the film had to be period accurate so that they would be uncomfortable in their armor out in the Amazon. And that's part of the reason why I guess Klaus Kinski pulled a gun on him. But
he was so cranky.
I must admit, I did wear underpants because sadly, otherwise, certain scenes I might have shown more than I should have. So
yeah, that's true. It's probably good.
I'm glad about that. You might have seen more lying on the ground otherwise. So anyway.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Well, let's talk about your film work. With Jason Figgis, Figgis West Productions. Of course, we talked about Winifred Meeks, which is the first time we met you and Jason, and then you've got these series of documentaries that are impressive. There's Love, that's with Love ? With Samantha Beckinsale, right? And then there's Shirley Baker's Life Through Lens, photographer, Simon Marsden, A Haunted Life, Colin Wilson, Voyage to the Beginning. So a lot of films. And then you have this, as you mentioned, the Bram Stoker, Father of Dracula, that's in post-production, I guess, or pre-production, not sure. But so you have a lot going on.
We're fundraising for the Dracula one, Father of Dracula. It was Jason's idea, and I wrote it. And it's going to basically be Bram Stoker, account of Bram Stoker's life and what inspired him to create Dracula. And we got Dacre Stoker involved. He's doing the narration, and he's a descendant of Bram Stoker, and he's done books on Dracula. So he provided me with a lot of research. So we're basically going to launch that 1st of April on Indiegogo. So if anyone wants to support us, feel free. But it will be coming out anyway, whatever happens. So I'm looking forward to helping to promote that. And I did the Shirley Baker documentary. Again, that was Jason's idea. And she was a photographer in Lancashire in the 60s and 70s and 80s. One of the first female photographers, and she specialised in taking photographs of working class areas in Manchester and Salford that were being torn down by the politicians, the authorities. They didn't ask if they wanted to be moved, but they said you've got to go because they're slums. So she photographed that transition period, while those houses were still there. So I went up to Manchester for the premiere and was on the BBC, which was very enjoyable. And I actually went round the areas where she'd taken a photographs, all these Victorian terraces, and they'd all gone. It was all like modern office blocks and stuff. Right. And but yeah, I enjoyed doing that. And the Love documentary, I was just a producer on that, and that's basically Samantha Beckinsale. She wrote it, and it's about sort of abuse, domestic abuse, emotional abuse, and her personal experiences and that. So she wrote it very much from a personal perspective. Wow. And that's been getting good coverage and that, and it's been shown at various sort of organisations, the police, things like that, groups supporting people who've been the victims of domestic abuse. So that's gone out there, and that's sort of helping get the message out there, what's been happening to people. So yeah, I've been keeping busy. I mean, I'm doing the acting still. I mean, hopefully Jason will put me in some more films. And I've played Roman Soldier.
That's a hint, Jason.
I've seen Blackwater Lane as well. I haven't seen it yet, but I played a person in the restaurant. But it's out apparently on Netflix, but I haven't watched it. But they might have cut me. I don't know. So and we also did the videos for the late Queen's Jubilee. Loretta K. Feld, I think, or Feld, is it? Yeah, I think it's pronounced Feld. She approached Jason because she's a composer and she'd been commissioned to do these videos for the Queen, and so I came on as producer. And apparently the royal family watched them and thought they were very good. So I don't know which members of the royal family. I was hoping to get a knighthood out of it, but I didn't. It's charming, isn't it? So Charles, if you're watching, I want a knighthood.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Keep trying.
Or a peerage, I don't mind. I'll take a peerage in the House of Lords. That would do me.
So you're not asking for much. Come on, you guys.
No,
get it together. So where do we find some of these documentaries? I know some you said are used more like for like maybe for the police to watch and social, but is there any avenues we can find some of these documentaries online?
Well, the Simon Marsden, I mean, I came on board quite late into that one, but I appear in it. I mean, that's online streaming.
Okay.
The Shirley Baker one will be coming out on the streaming service, and the Dracula one, obviously, once that's made. So yeah, the Marsden one's out. Love is available, and so yeah, and obviously Boudica, which is not a documentary, of course, but that's available, and you should watch it immediately.
Watch it instantly.
Yeah. Oh, and the Queen videos are available on YouTube, or they were.
Okay.
So to watch the 3. So yeah, so basically streaming services and that. The Colin Wilson series that we did, because I've always been an admirer of Colin Wilson. He was a philosopher and writer, and he did novels. One of his novels was Space Vampires. It was turned into Life Force. Do you remember that film from the 80s?
Oh, yes. How can you forget Life Force?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Toby Hooper classic. I mean,
oh my God,
that is a wild film. A wild.
I've read
movie.
much of his writing. Yeah, he's a fascinating character as well.
That's true.
Yeah, he wrote. Colin wrote books on crime, the occult, philosophy.
Wow.
His first book was The Outsider in 1956, and it made him internationally famous. But there was a bit of a backlash against him because he sort of called himself a genius. And although he was, obviously, you don't really say that yourself and get away with it. Probably, you know, not many people could they? And he criticised Shakespeare as well, which didn't go down very well. He was a great writer. And, but yeah, the Life Force film, he actually said it was the worst adaptation of a novel that he'd ever seen. And someone
kind of loose.
Yeah, I like it.
Adaptation. Oh, I like it, but I don't consider it to be the same. You know, I consider the book to be this and the film to be something else.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he didn't write the screenplay, I believe, which is one of the problems. And he did say, well, there was a lot of full frontal nudity in it.
Oh yeah.
Matilda May is walking around naked for the first, half hour of the film.
Yeah.
But you got Steve Earle back in there. And
Peter Firth. It's a fun cast. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the film, even though it's not the book, of course, but it had an enjoyable quality to it.
Yeah, it's a good science fiction movie, and aside from the exploitation aspect of it, it's actually kind of a weird science fiction story.
That's true. How did you get into this business? Like, I always, I'm fascinated by people who end up in it. Like, how did you meet Jason? Like, how did the partnership start? Just how did you know you wanted to be doing like writing and entertainment and movies?
All right. Well, when I was younger, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut or an archaeologist. So that didn't work out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw Carl Neston in the Planet of the Apes, and I thought that's for me, but it didn't work out. So I left it to him to go to the Planet of the Apes and things. But no, basically, what it was when I always loved writing. So as a kid, I was always up in my bedroom reading. So I wanted to do that when I got older. And I just approached like Psychic News magazine and asked if I could write ghost stories. And they said yes. And I had these books published in the 90s because I thought I wanted to get me knowledge out there, about the Romans, because I did this earlier book on Roman Lincoln, which is new edition's coming out this year. So that basically I pursued that. I always loved films, always loved acting. I used to do school plays and things like that. And but I never thought anything would come of it. And then I got involved in radio. I became a DJ, basically doing like a greatest hits show, things like that, and I had a chat show. And then I did a couple of online TV things, ghosts and that. But what it was, I also write for a magazine called Suffolk and Norfolk Life. And a lady I was going out with at the time, Julie Abbott. So I'm giving her a name check, even though we split years ago. So, hello, Julie. I hope you're fine. Hello. And, she said that this guy Jason Figgis is in England doing a documentary on Simon Marsden, and also I think he was doing something on M.R. James. Yeah, he was over here doing a documentary on that. And the thing was, I'd already seen the Simon Marsden documentary, and I'd left a message on YouTube saying what a great documentary, and he replied to the message. And a bit of synchronicity, I felt, I should remember that guy. Something told me, write his name down and remember it, because, you're going to be in contact with him again. So anyway, I contacted him, and he'd gone back to Ireland. But I said, could I still interview you? So I think a few weeks passed by, and then I got a phone call, and a bloke on the other end saying, like, Bob Geldof. I thought, my God, Bob Geldof's phone. What's he want? What have I done? Do you want me to do Live Aid with you or something? And it was Jason. Because they went to the same school, apparently, so probably that's why I got the same accent. And we got on really well. Both about the same age, 28. I'm only joking. And
that's my age too. That's so funny.
We're all 28. Yeah. That's so wild.
I stopped aging at 28, which was about a long time ago. So I'm not that old, but we found we had the same interests, watched the same programs, and we really hit it off. And he said, "Do you want to? I'm doing a film called The Ghost of Winifred Meeks. I was going to set it in Ireland. I want to set it in England. I like Suffolk. Could you find places? And could you do it immediately?" And I thought, my God. I said, "Well, can I be in it?" And, I've done a bit of acting, And he said, "Yeah, you can play the landlord." And so I found this old house near Dunwich, and we filmed it. And Julie Abbott became the ghost, and she's very good, I have to say. Yeah. But the stock joke that I've now got is, never date a ghost, folks, because it never works out.
No, it's always a little dicey with the ghost.
Yeah, the cultural differences sometimes. Yeah.
Well, John,
when the hand went through, and
oh, so annoying.
I know, and she just wanted to haunt graveyards, and I thought, there's no future in this.
Old bath,
it's fun for a while, but then, yeah.
What's great about?
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say what's great about Winifred Meeks is like it's the classic. If you want to make a film, like a contained film with a small cast, small crew, watch and do it well. Watch this movie, because I know that it's it was just basically a few actors, and the cast is really small, and you create this great feeling of dread and ghosts, etc. in the film. And watch, if you haven't seen this movie, check out. I think it's called just Winifred Meeks now, right? Or did they change the title? Or
in America, it's called Winifred Meeks, and in Britain, it's called The Ghost of Winifred Meeks. The company that brought it out in the UK wanted to change the title to emphasise it was a haunted house picture. But
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I mean, we spent a nice, lovely few days in Suffolk Coast and in a lovely Victorian house. Lara Belmont played the lead. I played the landlord. I'd turn up at the start and turn up at the end. There was one scene though at the end where I find Lara in the grass. I won't give out too much, but yeah, she was lying down on the grass. I was supposed to pick her up. I couldn't do it, and I could not lift her, and they had to cuff it. For me running
it's hard
out.
To lift somebody off the ground. Lift her from the ground up. Yeah, that's.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But then I saw a film with Clint Eastwood, and he did it. He just picked the woman up. I thought, oh God, mind you, he's Clint Eastwood. He's a lot stronger than me.
We all want to be Clint
Eastwood. I think we all feel like we can do anything Clint Eastwood can do.
Yeah, certainly we can, right?
He made my day.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
I'd love to meet him.
That's really. Oh no, we all would. I was at a party that he was at, and I saw him briefly. He's very tall.
Yeah,
he is.
Must be a lot of tall actors.
I chatted with him for a bit at a party as well, and he got me a beer. He actually brought me a beer, so I drank a beer that was handed to me by Clint Eastwood.
Ooh, very nice.
Whoa. There you go. I've got a Clint Eastwood little anecdote for you. I didn't meet him, sadly. I'd love to meet him. Clint, if you're watching, can you? I want to meet
Clint.
We'll
make sure he knows.
On Boudica, one of the chaps that was in it, I forget his name now. God, I can't remember.
John, I have the cast in front of me. Was it Clive Stanton?
Vandenberg?
Hold on, I'm looking. What? Say it again.
Vandenberg. I think
Dominic Vandenberg. Yes,
Dominic Vandenberg.
He knows Clint Eastwood's son. Right, and we were chatting for about half hour, just the two of us, about filmmaking, Charles Bronson, all the famous actors. Yeah. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm friends with Clint Eastwood's son." I thought, "My God, really?" And he said, "I've actually got the coat from Pale Rider. He was given that by Clint Eastwood's son." And I said, "You're so lucky." But he never got to meet Clint, but he's friends with his son. So I thought, well, surely you should put a word in for him and say, "Look, Dad, I want to meet you."
Come on.
Yeah.
What kind of friend? I know. That's
really cool anyway that you got bought a beer. That's better than my anecdote about the coat.
Pretty good.
I also saw him complaining to a producer that I worked with. I did a film on the Warner Brothers backlot, and we blew out the front of a building, and apparently neglected to alert everybody on the back lot that we were doing an explosion. And so about 30 minutes later, Clint Eastwood was yelling at one of our producers because his offices were right next to where we did the explosion, and he wasn't expecting it.
I'd be an honor though. Clint Eastwood had a go at you. I mean, that's good in itself, isn't it?
I was just standing there watching him kind of yell at somebody, which is
that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just it was like Clint Eastwood though,
No, I'd be one actually. Clint Eastwood had to go at me. So
I'll take anything. Bragging right. That's really funny. Oh my god. So one
of the things that I think Kathy was getting at was we always like to ask people what are the specific movies that inspired, if you have a obvious love of filmed entertainment, movies, cinema. And was there something in your childhood or early years where you were watching a specific movie and you said, that's where I want my life to go. I want to do that.
Well, that'd be Charlton Heston. I remember seeing Ben-Hur and I was just knocked out. I love the run anyway. And I think he's such a charismatic actor. And I ended up seeing El Cid and Planet of the Apes, as I mentioned before, and that really inspired me. And then Clint Eastwood, seeing his films, and I thought, if I could ever get into that business, it'd be great, just to be, obviously not like Charlton Heston and Clint Eastwood because I haven't got the looks, but so basically they inspired me to get into films. So cool. Thank you, Charlton and Clint, for that. So watching those films as a kid, Ben-Hur started it, seeing that film. Such a brilliant. I know it's really very long, but I mean, just watch the chariot race at the end. But I mean, that's worth it in itself.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's so absolutely stunning, and no CGI.
Yeah, it's true. And be practical.
Yeah. And Charlton Heston actually did that. It was in the chariot with Stephen Boyd. It was actually them. Yeah. Apart from a couple of scenes where Stephen Boyd, flew over the thing, that was a stuntman. Yeah. But for most of that race, it's them. I mean, that'd never happen now, would it?
No, I believe it was the mighty Yakima Canute, if I'm not mistaken, who choreographed and performed a lot of those insane stunts that you see in that film.
Have you done stunt work?
Me? I can't even
accidentally, I have.
I got kicked in the head.
I got kicked in the head.
I think you should join the union since you did do a stunt in that movie.
Well, I did stand with Schwarzenegger, but no, I'm joking now. So I was in Terminator. I was him, They just CGI me.
We all want to be in that movie.
Tom Cruise would do a remake of Ben-Hur, and he would be in the chariot, don't you think?
I could see him doing that. Yeah.
He would.
Yeah,
definitely.
He would fly through the air also, probably. So bad.
I think it's great when they do their own stunts. I mean, Errol Flynn is another great actor that I love. And he did a lot of it when he was younger. He did a lot of his own stunts. I mean, he was such a charismatic actor, and Robin Hood and Captain Blood and the Charge of the Light Brigade and that. So his ghost apparently is supposed to haunt the site of his old house, Mulholland Drive, where he lived. So apparently he's been seen there. But shame how he ended up. He liked life too much. Didn't put up with him in the end.
Yeah, John, have you visited Los Angeles? Have you been to the West Coast?
I've never been. I want to go because I just want to see Hollywood, visit all these wonderful places. I mean, sadly, a lot of the houses are gone. I mean, I love Laurel and Hardy as well, but obviously the old studios where they filmed their classics have gone. But I just love to walk down, the boulevard and look at the stars and look up at the Hollywood sign and go on one of those tours. Douglas Fairbanks lived there and Errol Flynn lived up there. And
well, come on out because we'll show you around. You like Laurel and Hardy? Kathy actually lives like 2 blocks away from the stairs where the film they made called The Music Box, where they carry the piano up the stairs.
You can actually just walk down those stairs.
It is actually exactly the way it looked in the film. Yep. Right down to the house. There's a garage right next to the stairs that has a light fixture above the garage door. Same light fixture. It's like absolutely unchanged.
You should plan a haunted Hollywood book, and then you could come and write it all off. And
I must
pay for all your expenses. That would be awesome because a lot of the houses are
a lot of
here.
hauntings out here. The Roosevelt Hotel has a lot of hauntings.
Roosevelt
I have a friend who actually stayed there in a room that's supposed to be the most haunted room in the Roosevelt Hotel, and a couple of other hotels around, and places where people stayed during really crazy parts of their lives where they say there's still a presence, you know, like Jim
Marilyn
Morrison.
Monroe's born there, isn't she?
They almost tore her house down. They almost were going to tear that house down where she lived, and then they finally got an injunction to stop it. And they said, "Oops, whoops, our bad. We're not tearing it down now." It's like, what were they thinking? I mean, it's like it's an icon. Come on. But there are a lot of great places. I mean, it'd be easy for you. You're used to dealing with hauntings from like hundreds of years, thousands of years. You only have about 50 years you need to worry about.
Yeah, these are relatively recent hauntings.
It'd be very easy history.
Fresh ghosts, you know.
Fresh ghosts all around.
Sorry, go on. Sorry about that. So I was going to say I'd love to do a documentary on ghosts. So if we could get the funding, I mean, I'd come over to LA and do a documentary on Errol Flynn's ghost and Douglas Fairbanks and Laurel and Hardy.
Houdini.
Yeah.
Houdini's house, there's sort of landscaping that you can still see there, and his front gate and all that. It's still kind of, there's a presence there of Houdini a little bit. There's a little bit of history here that's left in LA.
There's some, but there's a lot of crazy murders that have happened here, so there's got to be ghosts along with that.
Oh God, yeah.
There have to be. I mean, Manson murders, there might be some ghosts. Yeah, I mean, you never know. But like, a lot of houses come down.
Yeah, the Hollywood sign's haunted as well, isn't it? A woman committed suicide up there, jumped off one of the letters.
Yeah,
Peg Entwistle. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, she didn't get a part in a film, and she was distraught, and she climbed up on the D and jumped off to the rock below.
Wow.
So symbolically beautiful in a weird way, a creepy, sad way. Yeah. That's really
the sad thing about that. Oh, sorry. The sad thing about that is that apparently, I don't know whether it's sort of, you know, an urban myth or whatever, but she was offered, a letter arrived the day after she killed herself, offering her a part in a play, and the part was eventually taken by Betty Davis, and it made her a star. So
yeah, I've never been able to find any evidence of that, but it's an interesting. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
No.
It is a tragic. That's one of the things about Hollywood that you sort of learn when you get here, is that you have to accept the tragedy along with the fun and everybody expects it to be glamorous and all that. It's like it's glamorous in its own way, on its own terms.
It's the boulevard of broken dreams, you know. There's so many people that, you know, have a lot of talent, but they're waiters or they're doing other jobs just to get that break. And so that feeling is really, you know, it's permeates the whole town, you know.
It's a lot of delusion out here. Watch Sunset Boulevard. That is a film I think that says it the best.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big...
You did?
Oh, you did? Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
I've got it on Blu-ray, and yeah, I love it. Brilliant film. And because that's so true, that film, from, you know, you had all the old silent stars who were massive, and then when sound came in, they were forgotten. I mean, sometimes you go through old books and it's like going on about was it Clara Bow? Was it? You know, but these women that were really, really famous sex symbols, and yet now they're totally forgotten. I mean, look at comedy. I mean, when sound came in, it was only Laurel and Hardy and Chaplin, I know he resisted sound for quite a bit, who carried on. All the other famous silent film comedians all fell by the wayside. Buster Keaton, people like that. No one wanted to know them, but obviously Laurel and Hardy, their voices were so great for sound. I prefer their sound.
Yeah, Clara Bow, who was the it girl, the problem was her voice was not the most, you know, mellifluous, and it sort of killed the image of her, you know, this, and that ended her career, you know.
I got married at the silent movie theater in Hollywood. There's only one silent movie theater that was running at the time in America, and I got married at the silent movie theater.
Did you?
Burke made a little silent film. Burke made a silent film, like kind of a Nosferatu themed film. And so we had the guest list to our wedding at the end in the credits, and then we showed our own silent movie in the silent movie theater. It was so historic and great.
And Kathy was very emotive in that film. There was a scene where I wanted her to talk a lot, and I just told her to do the alphabet, and so she's like,
because you always have these silent movies and they talk forever and it just goes hello.
Yeah. Who is it?
It was so fun. I know.
Who's there?
Wedding of the Vampire. It's on YouTube if you want to look for it.
Oh yeah, look it up on YouTube.
You should. It's actually really fun.
But see, that's what I love about LA. It's just that if you love entertainment, which we all do, you can find so much history and so many great things here that remind you of the things you love about Hollywood. And it's not even like rejection or becoming an actor or successful. It's just being here in the middle of where all this happened. It's just so intoxicating sometimes.
It's kind of sacred ground. I work on a lot of the back lots in the studios, and I never get tired of walking through when I go to work, when I go to a sound stage or something, and I'm like, God, they filmed King Kong in this building. They filmed, you know, Citizen Kane was filmed in this room, and I feel like that's my holy land, you know, my holy walking in the footsteps of Orson Welles, you know.
I mean, I worked on the Universal lot, and I would walk, and I never got tired of walking past the clock tower where, you know, Back to the Future happened. Every time I walked by, I would just relive the scenes of it. So it was so fun.
Of the Twilight Zone.
Never get tired of it. Never get
tired. But that's why there's so many ghosts here in this town. I think, you know, there's so many I think there's so many of those dreams that never came true for so many people, and that's part of what people think of when they think of Hollywood I mean they think of the glamour and the, you know, becoming a bazillionaire and beloved by the world, but there's also that other aspect of it that happens to many more people. The failure of it, which can also in its way be kind of beautiful. You sort of sometimes fail upwards, like I did. You know, you fail at what you intended to be, and you end up having something better than that would have been, and you just, you know, it takes you a while to realize it. But there are plenty of ghost stories in this town.
Yes, Hollywood pays tricks.
Yeah,
you would be great in here. You should definitely visit.
Yeah, I'll have to visit, and I'll have to think about doing at least an article on it, and perhaps a documentary. If we can get the funding, that'd be great. And I actually went to Elstree in London, which is a very famous film studio, because I had a part in The Crown playing a photographer. You know, Olivia Colman when she was playing Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
And I went around the old buildings, and, you know, I just think, God, you know, and had all the photographs of, like, Sid James had been there, Tony Hancock, these famous British comedians, and there was such an atmosphere there. And all, you know, Peter Sellers had been there, and Morecambe and Wise with British comedians, the Beatles had been there, and I just loved the whole the feeling. There was definitely a sense of history, but I imagine you know, walking around the sort of studios in Hollywood, it was so great. It's such a shame that a lot of the old ones have gone in it. I mean, the Hal Roach studios were demolished. I mean, imagine going around there and thinking that's where Laurel and Hardy made all their classic comedy.
Yeah.
But it's just
there's a few of them left though. There's
like the Mac, isn't the Mac Sennett one in Silver Lake?
Place.
Yeah,
that's the little pie wedge studio.
Yeah,
I've actually worked in that studio. It's bigger on the inside than it appears to be on the outside. It's like a TARDIS studio.
Well, John, you should definitely come and visit. And of course, we can hang out, and I'll show you all the fun stuff.
I'll bring me book along.
Yes. Britain's Haunted Land.
Yeah, check out Britain's Haunted Land by John West.
And also this one.
And also Ghostly Heritage. Yeah, Haunted Heritage.
Yeah. Oh, it's a different cover now.
Different cover.
Yeah, Jason designed it. We're supposed to be bringing out a second edition as well, so he'll do a new cover for that. It's funny you mentioned Nosferatu. We did a rescored version.
Yes.
For that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
We talked to the musicians for that. That was amazing.
Yes. Yeah. We had them on. So, well, John, it's always a pleasure to have you on.
So good.
And thanks for taking some time out. And there's so much material that you can go and talking to the viewers and listeners. Check out his stuff. Really entertaining and interesting. And the docs are well worth watching. So, John, thanks very much. And we'll have you on again for sure. And come out west. Come on.
We'll do like a special video series behind the scenes of how you make your Ghosts of Hollywood.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to come to the UK, and I'll show you around a few haunted sites.
We need to do that. I would love
Absolutely.
Love it.
You better be careful making those kind of promises because I will definitely take you up on that. I'll
knock on the door. We're here.
Hey, it's me. I'm here.
Yeah, I've got no spare room. You have to sleep on the floor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, John. Thanks very much. Take care.
Take care.
All righty.